My ex cheated on me with my sister and they got engaged. My parents forced me to attend their wedding, so I exposed everyone on the big day. It all started 18 months ago. I was in a committed relationship with my boyfriend John, and my world shattered when I caught him and my sister Lisa in our bed. She was wearing an anklet of his name and her legs over his shoulders. In the immediate aftermath, I became extremely depressed, and for a while honestly thought life was not worth living. It took a lot, but slowly I started to dig myself out of the mental hole I was in. But just as I was doing that, my parents came to me telling me they were engaged. They told me that despite my past with John, I will attend the wedding, and if I didn't, they would disown me. Because family supports family, and if you do not, then you are not family. When I first heard these words, I felt shocked, confused, and betrayed, this time by my parents. The idea of losing my family was terrifying to me, so I agreed to attend at first, just in order to buy myself some time to think. I really did not want to originally, but as they continued preparing for the wedding, my parents and Lisa manipulated me into believing that attending was the right thing to do. They guilt-tripped me, saying that family should support each other and that Lisa deserved happiness. One evening, my mother sat me down in the living room. Family should always support family, she said. I know this situation is painful for you, but Lisa is your sister. She's found love and she deserves to be happy. Can't you see that? Lisa chimed in and said she never meant to hurt me, and even though it seemed unfair, she needed her little sister there to support her. She told me I was her best friend. Their words weighed heavily on me. They framed the situation in such a way that I began to doubt my own feelings. My mother continued to ask if I didn't attend, what would other people think? I thought for a second and concluded that this was an important event, and that they would probably think our family was broken. After I said yes to attending the wedding, Lisa reached out and took my hand happily. She told me she loved me. The following days, my parents and Lisa had both congratulated me for deciding to attend, and talked about how mature I was for it. I was all for going to the wedding at this point, but the financial burden was another story. They expected me to spend a fortune on a dress because all the bridesmaids had to wear a certain color, and Lisa had chosen one of the most expensive fabrics in the store for our dress. The other thing that I didn't understand was the fact that she hired this expensive makeup artist, because Lisa wanted us all to look exactly the same for her wedding day. But it didn't stop there. My parents demanded that I pay for flowers, decorations, and even part of the catering. It felt like they were using me as a cash cow, and the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I remember the endless list of expenses they expected me to cover. The dress was the first big purchase. They said it had to be perfect, that I had to look my best. The dress alone cost a small fortune, but I paid for it, thinking it was a necessary sacrifice. Then there were the makeup and hair appointments. They said I had to look flawless, that it was a reflection of our family. Each appointment drained my bank account a little more. The preparations for the wedding were a nightmare. Every step of the way, I felt like I was being forced into something I never asked for. My parents and Lisa would make decisions without consulting me, and then present them as if I had no choice but to agree. They said the photographs for the wedding were crucial, and that I needed to pay for them. They said the cake had to be extravagant, and that I was responsible for the cost. They even said I should contribute to the catering as it was a family event. I gritted my teeth and bore it all. The endless meetings to discuss wedding plans, the constant demands for money, and the constant blame and guilt tripping if I told them that this took a toll on me. I felt like a puppet, controlled by strings pulled by my family. My own feelings and desires were ignored, and I was expected to comply without question. I remember one particularly painful day when I had to meet with the florist. My parents said the flowers were one of the most important parts of the wedding, that they had to be perfect. I sat through hours of discussions about colors, arrangements, and delivery logistics. Each decision felt like another knife in my back, a reminder of how much I was being used. When the florist presented the final bill, my heart sank. It was a crazy amount, and my parents said I had to pay for it. They said it was my duty as the sister of the bride. I also had to attend numerous dress fittings with Lisa. Each session was an exercise in patience, as Lisa insisted on the most expensive options. She said she wanted me to look stunning, that it was important for the photos. I knew it was more about her image than my appearance. Every time I tried to voice my concerns about the costs, I was met with accusations of selfishness. They said I was making it all about me, that I couldn't stand to see Lisa happy. The manipulation was constant, and I began to feel like I was losing my mind. I sat in my bed one night, tallying up the expenses. I realized how much I was being forced to pay for a wedding that wasn't even mine. I decided I had had enough. I would go through with the wedding preparations, but if I was going to pay for all of it, I would make them pay for what they did to me. I planned to ruin their special day in the most spectacular way possible. It was 2 weeks before the wedding when Lisa approached me with a request that caught me off guard. She found me in the kitchen sipping on a cup of tea. She asked if we could talk for a minute, so we sat at the dining room table. She said she was thinking a lot about the wedding, and that there was something really important that she wanted to ask me. I asked her what it was, and she asked me if I could give a speech at the wedding, and told me how it would mean the world to her. I kept a calm appearance on the outside, but on the inside, I was smiling like the Grinch. This was the perfect opportunity to execute my plan, but I couldn't let her see how eager I was. I needed to appear conflicted. I bit my lip, pretending to weigh the request carefully. I asked her if she was sure after everything that happened, and she told me that we've moved past that now, and that she thinks it's important for our family. I agreed to read a speech for her. After she left the room, I felt like I could run up a mountain. The speech would be the perfect time to reveal everything. But for now, I had to play the role of the dutiful sister. I played my part perfectly. I smiled, nodded, and pretended to be the supportive sister. I paid for everything they asked, gritted my teeth through every interaction, and kept my plan a secret. The night before the wedding, I sat down and wrote a letter detailing everything that had happened. I poured my heart out, explaining how I had been manipulated, how much money I had spent, and how deeply they had hurt me. Writing the letter was cathartic. It was my chance to express all the pain, anger, and betrayal I had felt over the past year. I wrote about how John had cheated on me with Lisa, how my parents had sided with them, and how they had manipulated me into attending the wedding. I detailed every expense, every demand, and every moment of emotional pain they had caused. It was a monster of a letter, and I knew it would create chaos when I read it aloud.